גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. Here we go. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Folks in the sanctuary, let's hear you. Shabbat Shalom. Andrew, Hannah, and family, let's hear you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Folks who are online with us, let's hear you. Shabbat Shalom. Very loud, very, very loud. So, welcome everybody. For folks who are joining us online, your morning Siddur is being pinned onto the Facebook page. And for folks who are here in our sanctuary, of course, your red prayer books are under your seats. Highly participatory, meaning when you want to clap or snap or tap or la la la, go ahead and do it. God understands la 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 just fine. For those who are joining us online, let me just sort of paint the scene for you here. We have our sanctuary here at Temple Emanu-El, which is pretty full this morning because of the simcha that we are having, which is amazing. Cantor and I and all of the guests and the kahal and the congregation are masked. And then up on the bima are both families. We've got the Lippman family and the Smallin family who are unmasked because we want them to be comfortable. And while they're up there and separated and distanced, they can be unmasked. And that way we are all safe and together. So, Andrew, Hannah, I have to start by saying thank you. Thank you for doing this. First of all, thanks for being flexible, because this has been a little topsy-turvy with figuring out what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. Anytime that we Jews have a simcha, something really special and invigorating and joyful, it's great, but especially in tough times, especially in times where there's fatigue, right, and uncertainty, and other things as well. So we would have had a great experience no matter what, but the fact that we are doing it now is really, really important. Now, Lippman family, the last time we had a big bar mitzvah was actually for cousin Josh right here, like 18 months ago. And it is appropriate, I think, that we now are here again with tweaks. With tweaks, we're here again. Andrew, Hannah, you two are leading us today. And in leading us today, you elevate us in a way that we very much need, and the tradition buoys you up. The idea is that you take all of the work and the concentration and the momentum that got you to today, you come out of it feeling like 1,000,000 shekels, which is like $300,000. You come out of it feeling great, and you take that momentum and that confidence and do the next great thing, and the next great thing, and the next great thing, whether it's for the Jewish people or for the world. So thank you for doing it, and thank you for leading us, and thank you to your families for being here right next to you and helping to lead us as well. Cantor Lorna Desnick, Rabbi Spike Anderson, take a moment or two or three, everybody who's here live or online, turn to the people around you. Hi, Shabbat Shalom, my name is, good to see you. Really, turn around and let's say hi to each other. Okay. Okay. Bye, everybody.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. na 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 na. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יא לה 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 לה.
So Andrew and Hannah, there are benchmarks or signposts along the way today of how you are becoming an adult, a young man in the Jewish community, a young woman in the Jewish community. The first of these signposts is your talit, your adult Jewish clothing. And the tradition has it that you are not allowed to publicly don your talit before this moment. I mean, you could try it on at home, but this morning, yesterday, last week, last month, you weren't allowed to do it because you were a kid. And now, for the first time, each of your parents, respectively, are going to dedicate this moment to you and present you with your talit, your sign of Jewish adult clothing. And with that and the blessing, you will don it and lead us in the service as a Jewish adult. It is the first of many signposts this morning that help elevate us all. So, Leslie and Adam, Greg and Jenny, whenever you are ready, on page 5.
As this talit is draped around your shoulders, may the voices of the generations speak to you. May you know that there is a people, a rich heritage to which you belong, a sacred place from which you are connected to all who dwell on earth.
As you are embraced in the folds of this talit, so too are you wrapped in the loving embrace of your family, community, and this holy congregation. May the simplest of garments always be for you a symbol of God's abiding and sheltering presence.
As you recite the blessing and wrap yourself in this talit, we proudly watch and celebrate with you as you accept your place in the chain of our tradition.
Good. Okay, Hannah, you're going to say the blessing first. Go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzi.
And we all say amen.
Amen.
Okay, Mom and Dad, go ahead and you can wrap talit around Hannah and fix her hair, okay? And then you sort of get her set. Okay. Are we ready? Greg and Jenny.
Andrew, go ahead and say the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzi.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, and we wrap the talit and we even out the sides. Okay, now, this is a touchy-feely, huggy service, so anytime it seems remotely appropriate to hug and kiss, you should do it. It's a little weird if you don't, actually, okay? So you get in there, and keeping arms around each other up there, friends and family, we know that communities come together for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes sad. This one, super happy, super joyous. And when we Jews know that we are in the midst of experiencing sacred time, elevated time, we say the Shehechianu prayer. Literally, thank you, God, for this moment in time that we're here, breathing together. And may we have this type of sacredness and holiness again and again and again. Please join us, Shehechianu, page 5.
Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu hazman hazeh. Amen.
Hannah and Andrew, will you lead us on page 6?
God be with me on this occasion of my bat mitzvah.
Help me make meaningful the covenant you now establish with me.
Sustain me with a sense of holiness, inspire in me a desire to be special.
I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve my problems, map out the directions of my life.
I ask only that you strengthen within me the desire to mold and shape my life in accordance with your will.
In this hour of my bar mitzvah, I invoke your blessings upon my parents and friends and all who have loved and cared for me and have brought me to this time of gladness.
Give them joy and fulfillment in my growth and my achievement, and you who turn the hearts of children to their parents and the hearts of parents to their children.
Amen. Okay, folks are coming in. We have lots of room and space out here. If people want to come and space themselves out, come over here. So in a moment, Andrew and Hannah, you're going to lead us in the Sim B'Chol Yom, which is on page 9. These are the daily blessings, also called the daily miracles. Each of these is meant to be taken both literally and figuratively, that we are able to have gratitude for things around us that are truly miraculous if we pay attention to it. So for those who are in the kahal, in the congregation, you can follow along on the English on the left, the Hebrew on the right, the transliteration in the middle. We answer Amen with each of them. And I would ask you to pay attention as we're going through to see which of these daily blessings has your name on it this morning, whenever you're ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lesevivina lehavin ben yom uvein laila.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokei achivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sokeh kafufim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mabish arumim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten la'ayev koach.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir shena me'enai unama me'afapai.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzelem Elohim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben korim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam otzir Yisrael b'gvura.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen. So everybody here, take a moment and look back on the prayers we just said and pick the one that most is speaking to you this morning, as if I might call on you, as if I might tap you on the shoulder to share your answer. Take a look. Page 13, or B'nai Mitzvah lead us responsively.
May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship.
Together, may it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out the pettiness and pride.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit indifference, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We rise for Baruch Hu, page 15.
Ya la 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 man vadai. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
And a reminder to everybody, please, we ask that your mask be over your nose and your mouth, and we will stop the service until that happens. Over your nose and your mouth, everybody, please. If you can't do that, that's okay. Just take a step outside. But inside, we have to be careful for everybody. Yotzer Or is on page 15. So, Andrew, Hannah, Yotzer Or is the prayer that we say when we Jews wake up in the morning, knowing that we have a chance each morning we rise to recreate our reality anew, to make decisions in how we're going to conduct ourselves each day. We're not locked into what happened yesterday or the day before or yesteryear. That we Jews have a chance to recreate the world, our world, each time we wake up. Yotzer Or can be found on page 15.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uverei choshech, osei shalom uverei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechochma asita, ma'ala ha'aretz kinyanecha. Tibarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha. Ve'al moreh or she'asita yafarucha selah. Or chadash al Sion ta'ir, benizkei kulanu mechira le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot.
Amen. Amen. On page 16, we have Ahava Rabbah. And Andrew, Hannah, this is the prayer where we recall God's great love for us as a people and as individuals. And I'll tell you that in our house, in the Anderson home, when the kids were younger, we had this nice little song that we sang to them before bed. It went something like this. It's very complicated. Mama loves you, Daddy loves you, brother loves you, sister too. Teachers love you. This song could go on for a very long time. But as part of that song, what we always put in, they're too old for this now, I wish they weren't, was we made sure that God was in that list. Sometimes the top of the list, sometimes in the middle, but always somewhere on the list. Because you as young adults, a young woman and a young man, taking the next step in your life, and all the steps that you'll take, knowing that not only are you loved by the people standing right around you, but look up for a second, loved by myriads of people, and the divine. That is something that if we walk through our life knowing it, feeling it, choosing to believe it, would make a world of difference. Ahava, page 16.
Ahava Rabba Avtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Himla Gedola, Vetira Hamalta Aleinu. Ve'avur Avotenu Ve'imotenu, Shibahu Veha, Ve'vatlamdim Hukei Hayim, Ken Tohenu Utlamdenu. Hamrahim Rahim Aleinu Vetain Belibenu Lehavin Uhaskil Lishmoa Leomod Ulamed Lishmor Vela Asot Ukayem Et Kodivre Talmud Torateha Be'ahava Baruch Ata Adonai Haboher Ba'amo Yisrael Ba'ahava.
Amen. And we all feel our feet on the ground. We get ready for our Shema, taking a deep breath in, hands in front of our eyes, uttering the utterance.
Shema Yisrael,
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Hannah and Andrew, on page 16, we have page 18, we have Via Hafta. Via Hafta is part of the Shema. And this is the prayer that we remind ourselves that we have reminders that we can do better. That we can, as individuals and as a people, have an aspirational self that we can tap into, connect to. When is it, says the prayer, when is it that we're supposed to have a God orientation, Judaism on our mind? And the short answer, the easy answer that's in there is, well, when you stand up, and when you sit down, and when you're at home, when you're on your way. In other words, always. That sounds like a good answer until we really think about it. Andrew, because how can you do something mindfully always? It's very hard to do. Hannah, how can you be aware of something important always? It's hard. So what the Via Hafta prayer does is it reminds us that we have reminders, our talis, our mezuzah, the Judaica in our home. It implies that, it doesn't say it. Jewish community, synagogue, right? We have reminders that we can be our very best selves if we focus and we try. Friends, Via Hafta is on page 18.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. ושיננתם לפניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולבטך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך
למען תזכרו ועשיתם מכל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohim Emet.
I'd like to invite up Elaine and Leon Siegel and Judy and Irving Pressman to the choir mic right in the front to lead us responsively in the reading on page 19.
You want us to start? Go ahead. Adonai, our God, you took us out of slavery in Egypt. You made us free.
You were in the courage with which we overcame 40 years of desert wandering.
Even today, you are in the hope that, like a beam of light, brightens the darkness of suffering and despair.
You are in the love that creates, protects, forgives.
Standing at the sea, we felt your goodness and your love, and we sang a new song to you. And still today, we sing that song.
We praise you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. Page 20, Micha Mocha.
Watch that wire.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Let's sing that one more time. It's only a lie. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. That's right. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi como papa evi magonai. Mi como pana edarba kodet. Norati hilud ose pele. Norati hilud ose pele. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Adonai
Elo, Eolam Va'ed.
Adonai Elo Leolam Va'ed.
We join in singing what the Israelites proclaimed after they had successfully crossed the sea, and we find in their redemption the strength to seek our own. This struggle carries us into the Amidah, a prayer of becoming, of transformation, of divine human partnership that brings grace into our lives and into our world. You'll find the Amidah on page 21. Please rise all.
Adonai,
Sefatai tiftach, ufi agite hilatecha.
Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu,
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah,
El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol,
V'zocher Hasei Avot V'imahot,
Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Le'man Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol Atah Rav Le'oshia, Morid Hatah, Mechalkel Chaim Be'chesed, Mechayeh Hakol Be'rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Be'ofech Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Lemid, Umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol.
I'd like to invite up Paula Moore and Paul Moore to lead us in our reading on page 23.
I start with you. Many are the ways of holiness, varied are its paths.
Together, there is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know.
There is holiness when we are kind to others.
There's holiness when we strive for harmony in all of our relationships.
There is holiness when people of different backgrounds work together for a common future.
There's holiness when people seek justice and struggle for righteousness.
There is holiness when people create lasting poetry or song or philosophy.
There's holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us.
Holy, holy, holy is Adonai our God.
Kedusha, page 24.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא לזה ואמר,
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech kol haaretz, Kevodo.
אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ.
Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimkomo.
אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם,
Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Yitzion, Ledor vador. Hallelujah.
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador,
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador, Ledor vador, Nagid Galacha.
Sing after us, לדור ודור,
Ledor vador,
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador,
לדור ודור נגיד גול לך, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. Here comes your part, לדור ודור,
Ledor vador,
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador, Ledor vador, Nagid Galacha.
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador,
לדור ודור,
Ledor vador.
לדור ודור נגיד גול לך, כי המלך גדול, גדול וקדוש, גדול וקדוש אתה. כי המלך גדול, גדול וקדוש, גדול וקדוש אתה. ברוך אתה
Baruch
אדוני,
Shemo.
האל הקדוש.
Amen. You can be seated. Hannah and Andrew, will you lead us on page 25 responsively in our prayer?
From of old, the Jewish people have seen Shabbat as a unique gift, a token of its covenant with God.
Together, Shabbat is the most cherished creation of the Jewish spirit. It mirrors the essence of the Jewish soul.
Shabbat has never been merely a day of rest from labor. It has always been a break in the routine of everyday life.
Shabbat is the symbol of liberation and triumph, of the holy over the profane, over spirit over matter.
In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jew a sacred retreat, a haven of safety, a fountain of new strength, and perpetual renewal.
Shabbat nurtures family life and love and harmony. A home at peace welcomes Shabbat with joy.
Shabbat is part of nature's design, the very purpose of creation. All that was created attained its fulfillment in Shabbat.
Shabbat is our hope, the calm haven where all the weary find rest. With the coming of Shabbat, redemption and peace enter the world. Yismechu, page 26.
ישמחו
במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא, עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא, עונג שבת. במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא, עונג שבת. Yes.
Uteha, Shomre, 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 Shabbat Bikore, Oleg Shabbat.
I'd like to invite up Howard and Sheila Fagan and Marilyn Lipman to lead us on page 27.
Our world is full of wonders and miracles, but all it takes is one little hand placed before our eyes and we see nothing.
But miracles are all around us and within us. We are each walking miracles.
When we are bruised, what miracle heals us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us?
When we see suffering, what miracle saddens us? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle renews us?
Every springtime is a miracle. Every snowflake is a miracle. The thought we think, the words we speak, but the hope we cherish, each is a miracle.
For all these miracles, may your name be exalted and blessed forever and ever. I'd like to invite up Janice Smolin and Elaine Bennick, page 28, to lead us responsively in our prayer.
Oh God, we know there is no greater gift than peace.
Help us to
Find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
Inspire us to banish hatred, war, bloodshed, and bigotry. Help us to establish forever one human family, doing your will in love and peace.
Help us to find peace in ourselves and among all people. O God of peace, bless us with peace.
You have given us the power, O God, to bring peace and justice into the world. May we always love peace and pursue it, and love our fellow creatures. Fill us with kindness, wisdom, and love. Then shall we learn to live in peace. Blessed is God, teacher of peace. I invite everyone to take a moment of silent prayer, contemplation, communion, connection.
On page 30, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Eternal One, my rock and my redeemer.
Jenny and Greg, Adam and Leslie, I would like to have you offer up the words on page 31 that we call the parents' blessing. These words are taken from different parts of the Talmud, most of them. And those great Talmud sages, aside from being Gedolim, great ones with Torah, were also parents. And having their parental words flow through you, to your daughter, to your son on this day, elevates your family and the entire experience. Whenever you're ready.
May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. And may you trust in generations past and yet to be.
May your heart be filled with intuition, and your words be filled with insight. May songs of praise ever be upon your tongue, and your vision be on a straight path before you.
May your eyes shine with the light of holy words, and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom, and your fulfillment be in righteousness.
A Jewish home opens its heart, and its link to the generations is proclaimed. Today our child, nearly grown, is called to read from the Torah, and is welcomed into the congregation.
May this moment be blessed.
Hug, hug, kiss, kiss.
Andrew and Hannah, with all of this love surrounding you, this is the time where we move up into our Torah service. So we are going to turn to page 32 on the bottom, and I'm going to invite the congregation to rise, and I am going to invite some very special people to come on up to our choir mic. I'm going to invite up our grandparents, Carol Littman, Don Jaslow, Diane Jaslow, and Larry and Elaine Bennick, Paula and Paul Moore, and Janice Smolin, all to come to our choir mic. We continue together on the bottom of page 32. Ki mitzion
Tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion Tetzei Torah,
U'devar Adonai Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah,
Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah,
Le'amo Yisrael B'Kedushato. So, Andrew and Hannah, take a look at this amazing group of people, not just, filling up this whole space, but standing right in front of you, beaming down upon you. And now I want you to think a little further back. I know in spirit today we are remembering Hannah, your grandfather, Harold Littman, who is also with us, shining down just such a beautiful smile upon you. And if you just imagine all of the people, all of the generations that came before. So your great-great-grandparents, your great-great-great-grandparents, and this line goes back all the way to Abraham and Sarah, to our whole ancestors, all of our, so really we are quite connected in truth, right? And I want you to feel all of that energy shining down upon you, because if there was just one chain in that link that wasn't there, then Andrew and Hannah, you may not be here today about to become bar and bat mitzvah chanting Torah. So that's really something that's quite profound. So in the spirit of bringing all of that love, all of that energy, all of those generations right here into the room, smiling with us, we are going to pass Torah to each of you. So I'm going to invite our dads, Adam and Greg, to pick up our Torah scrolls. And as you are holding this Torah scroll, dads, I want you to feel all of that energy coming through that Torah scroll. And moms, you're going to give it a little kiss and touch. And in this moment, each of you are going to pass this incredible history, this incredible spirit, our Torah, down to your children. I'll invite you to do that now. It's heavy, right? It's all that history I was talking about. Beautiful. So we are going to continue on the top of page 33 with our Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Unerom Ela Shemo Yachdav. And now I invite the B'nai Mitzvah families to undress the Torah. Lecha Adonai HaGedula, v'HaGevura, v'HaTiferet, v'HaNetzach, v'HaHod.
Ki kol hashamayim uvaretz,
Ki kol hashamayim uvaretz, Lecha Adonai HaMelech, and I invite everyone to please be seated, and grandparents as well.
As our bat and bar mitzvah get ready to chant Torah and share their interpretation, their drash, their wisdom with us, I just want to point out to everyone, remind you as individuals, you may have been to, this may be your first bar bat mitzvah, this may be your 10th, this may be your 100th or more, but no matter how many you've seen, don't be fooled how hard this is, what these kids are about to do, these young men and women, this young man and young woman are about to do. They're going to be chanting in the original, without vowels, without cantillation, music marks, from the same scroll, the same piece of sacred literature that our people have been chanting from for 4,000 years. The amount of time and effort and dedication just to get to this moment is not weeks, not months, it is years. Years. And by doing this, they are not only giving honor to themselves and not only to their family, but to all of us. You'll find under your seat, you'll find the blue book called The Plout. And if you'll turn to page 1508, we'll find our Torah reading for this morning. So The Plout, page 1508. And if you want to follow along with our Torah blessings, they are in your red machzor on page 34.
So I'm going to invite the small ones to take a little break, a little rest, and for our first aliyah, for Hannah, I am pleased to call up to our
choir mic.
Our choir mic. There we go. Thank you, Rabbi. Carol Littman, Diane Jaslow, and Don Jaslow. Ya'amdu Chayasimi bat Shmuel v'Sora Dina v'Dan la'aliyah laTorah.
1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai HaBarak.
Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bakabonu Mikol Olamim. V'nasam lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'haya ki tavo el haaretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha nachala v'rishta ve'ashavta ba v'lakata mirishit kol peri ha'adama asher tavi mi'artecha asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha v'asamta v'atene v'chalechu el chamakom asher yivchar Adonai Elohecha l'shaken shemo sham uvota el hakohen asher yiyeh bayamim hachem ve'amarta eliv hagati Hayom le'Adonai Elohecha ki vati el ha'aretz asher nishbach Adonai le'avoteinu lateit lanu.
Yasher Koach. Grandparents, whenever you're ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emes, v'kalam otag v'tzokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Blow some air kisses, air hugs. And as you are seated, I am going to call to the bima our honors for our second aliyah. Aunts and uncles Sheila Littman, Lori Weiss, and Todd Weiss. Ya'amdu Sora Sivia bat Herschel David, V'chaya Similea bat Don Vidina, Baruch ben Menachem Mendel la'aliyah laTorah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'lakach hakohen hateneh miyadecha v'chi nicho lifnei mizbach Adonai Elohecha ve'anita ve'amarta lifnei Adonai Elohecha arami avid avi vayarid mitraima ve'agor sham bimta miyad vayachi sham legoy gadol asam varav vayari'u otenu hamitrim ve'anunu vayivenu amen amen Aleinu avodah kasha.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Beautiful air hugs and kisses, high fives, and it is my pleasure to call up officially to our Torah very proud parents, Leslie and Adam Littman. Ya'amdu Lina Miriam bat Don Vidina, Shmuel Shalom ben Herschel David v'Chaya Simi, la'aliyah laTorah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vanitach el Adonai Elohe Avotenu, Vayishma Adonai et Kulenu, Vayar et Onenu, Va'et Amalenu, Va'et Lahatzenu, Vayotzienu Adonai mi Mitzrayim, Vayad Hazaka Uvitroad Nituyah, Vayamiru Gadol Uvamotod Uvamoftim. Vayivenu el hamakom hazeh, vayiten lanu et haaretz hazeh, eretz zabat halav uvdevash.
Yasher Koach. Mom and Dad, you can take it away.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Hugs and kisses. Beautiful. So Hannah, normally I ask all of our B'nai Mitzvah to sit down, But I'm going to have you sit down in a moment, but I want to be able to see you, and I want you to see me, so you can hear about this incredible moment. And then we'll do the sitting and coming back up like we practiced. So you have been working towards this moment, not just 6 months ago, not even when you started religious school, but really since the moment that you were born. And in just a few minutes, when you sit down and then you come back up, what that really is a demonstration of, it's a physical demonstration of you moving upward into becoming a bat mitzvah. So this is the moment where that actually happens. And it's really a remarkable thing because you also help us move up just a little bit more. You help to elevate us just a little bit more. So with that, I'm going to invite you to have a seat, and then you're going to show us that aliyah, that ascending, right now, as I call you up. Talmud ha-bachura ha-bat mitzvah Hanazahava bat Shmuel Shalom Velina Miriam la'aliyah Torah. And you're going to offer our blessing for the Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Be'atah hine heveti et reshit peri ha'adama asher natata li Adonai v'chinachto Lifnei Adonai Elohecha v'chistacha vita Lifnei Adonai Elohecha v'samachta v'chol hatov asher natan lecha Adonai Elohecha u'vetecha ata v'chalevi v'chager asher b'chirbecha ki techaleh la'aser et kol ma'asar tevuatecha b'shana ha'shalishit shenat ha'amaser v'natata la'levi la'ger la'yatom v'la'amena v'yaklu v'shirecha v'saveu
Asher koach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
I invite the congregation to rise, please. And Mom and Dad, if you'll put a hand on Hannah's shoulders. And with the open Torah, we're going to give her, Hannah, we're giving you a special Misha Barach blessing with the hope that these moments and this bat mitzvah act as a spiritual cornerstone for you to push off of to wherever you're going, but also to always find your way back to. We'll do it in Hebrew, then English. Misha Barach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech, et Hannah Zahava, bat Shmuel Shalom, v'Lina Miriam, shehagia lemitzvot la'Allah l'Torah, hakadosh baruch hu yismeireha v'chayeha, v'chonan et liba liyot shalem im Adonai Eloheha, l'go b'torato l'lecha b'drachav l'shmor mitzvotav, v'timsechen v'seichel tov, v'enei Elohim v'adam v'nomar. Amen.
Amen.
May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Hannah, who's come up for an aliyah upon the age of mitzvot. May the Holy One guard you and sustain you, Hannah, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, studying God's Torah, walking in God's ways, and fulfilling God's mitzvot. May you, Hannah, find favor before God and all people. And we say, Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so Adam and Leslie, I'm going to ask you to roll the Torah up and place, you can kind of whipple it. That's the white thing. And then you're going to just place the Torah cover on top. And while they're doing that, everyone can have a seat.
And Hannah, when you're ready, you can bring that microphone a little bit closer to you. There you go.
So one of the things that defines the bat mitzvah, the bar mitzvah, is not just chanting Torah, Dayenu, but actually interpreting Torah, a homiletic sermonette based on the Torah portion and the unique light that is you, Hannah, that you will share to all of us whenever you're ready.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion is Ki Tavo from the book of Deuteronomy. The story of Ki Tavo begins with Moses telling the householders to take the first fruit of every soil and go where God's name will be said. The next part of the story is where the Israelites take rocks and write the Torah on them. They then take those rocks and put plaster on them. This is to signify that the Torah is part of the earth. Moses then tells the people that if they observe mitzvot, commandments, then they will be blessed. If they don't practice mitzvot, they will be cursed. Moses gave the Israelites a choice, if they wanted to have their lives filled with blessings or curses. Moses reminded the Israelites that they have seen all that God has done. They have been cared for, their clothes have not worn, and they were given food and drink to live. Moses tells the Israelites this to show them that if they keep the covenant, then God will give them everything they need to succeed. In my life, my parents have always taught me right from wrong and that my actions have consequences. For example, if I don't do my homework, then it could lower my grades or I could end up not being prepared for tests or the next year's classes. Or if I don't do my chores, I'll get my phone taken away. They have also taught me that although my bad actions have consequences, when I do good deeds, they come with blessings. These blessings are not always a physical item. Instead, it is usually the feeling that you get after the moment, like being proud of yourself or feeling accomplished. What really motivates me to do good deeds is to think about how those good deeds will impact someone else. In Judaism, there are two words with similar meaning. In Yiddish, the word mitzvah is a good deed, and in Hebrew, the word mitzvah is a commandment. In the Torah, there are 613 commandments or mitzvot. One commandment that particularly stood out to me is to love your neighbor as yourself. This commandment really impacts me because it's something I've heard my entire life. As I've grown up, my teachers, my parents, and any adult I've been around have always told me to treat others the way I want to be treated. Within my experience in elementary school, everyone was friends. And when I entered middle school, the words I heard my entire life finally began to make sense. I went from being friends with everyone to knowing only a third of the class. This mitzvah speaks to me because in middle school, people are unkind towards each other more than you could ever imagine. Every day, I try my hardest to be kind to who all I encounter. Even if they don't return the kindness, I still make sure that I am following this mitzvah. I encourage my friends to do the same as I do and treat others with kindness. Following this mitzvah has filled my life with many blessings, such as gaining new friends. The relationships with people in your life are some of the most important things you will ever have. When you love your neighbor as yourself, your life will be filled with joy and blessings. May we all be blessed to love our neighbors as ourselves and for them to return our kindness. For my bat mitzvah project, I collected monetary donations and used the money to buy toiletries and made bags for the homeless. Not only were these bags a blessing for the homeless, but it was also a blessing for me. I got to feel the special connection I have with God by helping someone else in need. I help make these items that we use in our everyday lives and make them special. Because we often overlook all these simple items such as shampoo, deodorant, and these days masks, but to the people who are in need, it makes a huge difference. Becoming a bat mitzvah means that I am now an adult in the Jewish community. To me, this means that I plan on joining a synagogue and having a mezuzah on my door. I will also send my kids to Jewish summer camp. I will continue my Jewish education by going to Camp Barney Menitz every summer and by joining BBYO in high school. My plan for the future is to raise Jewish children and that one day my kids will be in the same spot I am, up on the bima at their bar bat mitzvahs. I would like to end my speech with thanking all the people in my life who helped me prepare for this day. A special thanks to Rabbi Max, who, even though we couldn't meet in person, was an amazing tutor and made sure that no matter how many times he had to repeat a line or a phrase, that I pushed through and got it right. I would also like to thank Rabbi Spike, Rabbi Rachel, Cantor Desnick, and Joanne for thanking you for teaching me Torah. I would also like to thank my grandparents, Gramps, and Grandma. I'm lucky to have grandparents who have been so supportive in my life and have made sure I was influenced with Jewish cultures, traditions, and especially food. Graham and Gramps, I love the times when we go to the movies and when I would spend the nights at your house. And I would like to wish a very special happy birthday to Gramps today. Grandma, I love when I would come to your house and we would bake sugar cookies and you would let me decorate them and it would just end up being a pile of sprinkles. I'm so happy that so many of my friends are here today to support me, my friends who have been through so much with me. And finally, but not least, I want to give a huge thank you to my amazing parents for not only helping me with my bat mitzvah, but for all the special things we do together. Dad, I know I always say how much I hate it, but I love how much you get involved with everything. From all the years doing PTA and all the time you have spent on the cheerboard, I like always having you there when I need you. Our road trips will always be some of the memories I will never forget. All the stops we make and all the ridiculous conversations we have, they're one of my favorite things in the whole world. Like I said, I know you always want to find special time for me and you. Whether it's taking us on our yearly zoo trips, going to all the hockey games, and even you taking me to every carnival that comes to town. It's the little things that are the time we have just us, and I love that. Now, Mom, I know that we argue a lot, but you are one of the most loving people I know. You would do anything for me, and you were always by my side every step of the way. You always help me study and keep my grades on track. And I know that it's something any kid would say about their parents, but it's different with us. School is a part of our daily conversations, and it's something that together we prioritize. Like I said about you always being there for me, whenever I need you, you always have the best advice. Between helping me with school drama to just everyday life advice, in general, you just always know what to say. Something that a lot of people probably don't know about my mom and I is that there's one thing that we love to do together, and that's getting foot massages. Although it doesn't happen often at all, we really get to talk and catch up with our lives, and that's what I love to do most with you. I love you both so, so, so much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I think there's no doubt that we just heard from a young woman. Hannah, have a seat, and we'll get back to you and talk about what you just talked about in a moment. Very well done, very well done.
Hugs and kisses.
All right, Andrew, come on up. We are ready.
So it is my pleasure as the Smolin family comes to the podium and the Torah to invite to our choir mic for our first Aliyah, Alyssa Lovick and Jessica Kaelin. Ya'amdu Israel bat Eliezer v'Pearl Chana, Yosefa Deborah bat Liza Elia v'Shana Rachel, la'Aliyah LaTorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamivarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. V'haya im shemo tishma b'kol Adonai Elohecha lishmor la'asho ekom mitzvotav asher anohi mitzaveha hayom unotenaha Adonai Elohecha el yom al kol goyei haaretz uva'u eleha kol habarhot ha'ela v'hishivuha ki tishma b'kol Adonai Elohecha Baruch atah ba'ir u'baruch atah ba'asadeh.
Yasher Koach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Air hugs and kisses. And I know everybody really wants to come up to the bima. We're going to ask that you stay right by the choir mic just so we can keep everybody as safe and healthy as possible. So we really encourage all of those air hugs and air kisses and air high fives for sure. For the honor of our second Aliyah, we call up to our choir mic, proud grandfather Larry Bennett. Ya'amod Eliezer ben Yaakov Irena Deborah, la'aliyah la Torah.
Baruch Hu es Adonai Havarach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hami V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Baruch Peri Bitnaha Ufri Amataha Uferi Behemteha Shagar Alofeha Ve'ashtero Soneha Baruch Taneha Umisharteha Baruch Atah Bevoeha Uvaruch Atah Batzateha
Yashakor.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emes V'chayei Olam Nata B'sochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen.
Air hugs and kisses. And it is my pleasure to invite very proud parents, Greg and Jenny, to bless our Torah. Ya'amdu Gershon Meir ben Liza Elia v'Shena Rachel, Naomi Sarabat Eliezer v'Pearl Chana, la'aliyah la Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Havarach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hami V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Yitain Adonai et oiveha hakamim aleha ningafim lefaneha v'derech ehad itu eleha uvishve'a darhim yanisu lefaneha itzav Adonai iteha et habaraha ve'asameha uveho mishlach yadeha v'raheha ba'aretz Asher Adonai Eloheha notein la Yikamiha Adonai lo le'am kadosh ke'asher nishba'la ki tishmor et mitzvot Adonai Eloheha v'hal hata b'rahav.
Beautiful.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. I'll give him a little hug and kiss. All right. All right, Andrew, I'm going to ask you to have a seat for a moment. Don't get too comfortable. I'm asking you to sit down just so I can have you stand up again. Go ahead. You can have a seat. Yep. So, Andrew, perfect. We have a sight line, right? Perfect. Okay. So, Andrew, the work that you've done thus far, including the Torah readings, other people have gotten credit for it. That's what happens when they have the Aliyah. But this, for the first time, by the way, I love the look in your grandfather's eyes as you were chanting. The nachas that he was experiencing, watching you do that was really palpable. So, you are in a moment. The cantor's going to call you up by a special trope, a special call, and you'll come up to the Torah, and in doing so, you're not just making a physical ayah, a physical ascent. We believe you're making a spiritual ascent, literally coming to a higher spiritual place or plane for this particular moment. And it's in this moment that you become bar mitzvah.
Yamad, come on up. Abraham, Dov, ben Gershon, Meir, ben Naomi, Sarah, la'aliyah habachur habar mitzvah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'ra'u kol amei ha'aretz ki Shem Adonai nikra aleha v'yara'u mimeha v'hotireha Adonai latova v'yifri bineha u'bifri behemteha u'bifri admateha al ha'adama asher nishba Adonai la'avoteha latet la'a Iftah Adonai leha et zaro hatov et hashamayim batei mater arseha ba'ito uvarech et kol me'aseh yadeha v'hilita goyim rabim ve'ata lo tiveh.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Okay, Mom and Dad, hand on his shoulders. Congregation, please rise. Andrew, a special Misha Barak blessing for you, for your continued spiritual development, so that you can look upon this moment, this bar mitzvah today, as the spiritual cornerstone of your life, a place for you always to find a place back to, a way back to, but also to use to push off into wherever you are going with your life. Misha Berach Avotenu Vimotenu, Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah, Hu Yivarech, Et Avraham Dov Ben Gershom Meir Ben Naomi Sarah, Shehagia lemitzvot la'ala l'Torah. Hakadosh Baruch Hu yismei rehu v'chayehu v'chonon et libo liot shalem im Adonai Elohav. Hagot b'Torato la'lecha b'drachav v'mitzvor mitzvotav v'yimsechen v'seichel tov v'nei Elohim v'adam v'nomar. Amen. May God, who blessed our forefathers and foremothers, bless you, Andrew, who's come up for an aliyah upon the age of mitzvot. May the Holy One guard you and sustain you, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, studying God's Torah, walking in God's ways, and fulfilling God's mitzvot. May you find favor before God and all people, and that we can say, Amen.
Amen.
Okay, Greg and Jenny, will you roll the Torah up a little bit, and you'll put the whipple underneath it. There he goes, Zach's bringing the accoutrements. There you go. And you can just lay the, yep, go ahead. Perfect. And we can have everyone being seated. All right. Mom and Dad can have a seat. Mom and Dad can have a seat, and you're going to get out your Devar Torah. These are the results of deep introspection and study, not just with the rabbis you were working with, but the rabbis who have been part of this conversation going 1,000 years back, and conceptually with people who have not even been born yet. Your Torah portion, your words, your life, your experiences, and now your message to all of us.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
My Torah portion is Kitavo from the book Deuteronomy. In my Torah portion, God instructs Moses and the priests to bring everyone together to once again hear the Ten Commandments. These are some of the most important mitzvot for the Jews, and they include respecting your mother and father, not praying to idols, not stealing, and being faithful to your spouse. God told the Israelites if they followed the commandments that God gave them, then they would be blessed. These blessings include blessing your city and country, being safe and prosperous, blessing your children, blessing your soil to grow produce, and blessing your animals. Following God's commandments and worshiping only God instead of idols would enable the Israelites to be set on high. In order to receive these blessings, you must observe the commandments of your God and not turn to any other gods. You cannot deviate from these commandments in order to receive these blessings. Additionally, in my Torah portion, God warns that if our ancestors don't follow the rules, then they will be cursed. For instance, illness and skin diseases, starvation, and death and destruction. One of the main points that God wanted to show the Israelites is that by following multiple gods, their rules may collide. If one god says murdering is okay, and the other gods say it isn't okay, someone can say I had permission from this god, so that even the evil things would be okay by one god or another. This would put people and gods at odds with each other, and chaos would ensue. That is why it was so important to God that the Israelites only follow him and his rules. God goes into greater detail on these curses to make sure you follow them and don't stray from believing in God. God brought the Israelites all together to ensure they follow his view of monotheism, or the terms of his agreement or covenant with them, to make sure they try their absolute best to follow his rules. He wanted to ensure that they were always faithful to him as he's always faithful to us, his chosen people. When I read my Torah portion, I feel it is teaching me the importance of having a connection and believing in God. The blessings and commandments God has provided us help us continue to be grateful for the things we have. This past year, we have experienced what some people would call a curse, such as COVID-19. Even through this period of COVID, God has brought us blessings. I've realized that there are many things to be grateful for, even in bad times. For example, I've gotten to spend much more time with my family. Sometimes it might not seem like such a blessing to spend time with family, but in this case it was. My family does a small Shabbat every week. We bake challahs, light candles, and say prayers. Through this, not only did we get to be together, but we got to connect with God by doing the traditions of the Jewish people. We also got to do fun activities like swimming, hiking, and biking with our families, which is also a blessing that we are healthy enough to do that. If we look through the things that happen in this bad period of time, you find a lot of blessings, and you find the good things that come out of it. I think that this is God's way to show us that by following his guidance, these are the blessings we receive. Becoming a bar mitzvah means that I am now an adult in the Jewish community. To me, this means participating in Jewish services. As an adult, I plan on joining a synagogue to keep my Jewish heritage and history and celebrating all of the Jewish holidays to pass on my traditions to my children. Part of giving tzedakah is doing things within your own community to give back. For my mitzvah project, I'm planning to host a wiffle ball game to raise money for Best Friends Animal Shelter. This shelter helps homeless animals by providing food, medical care, and shelter so that the pets can be adopted by a loving family. I picked this charity because my family has adopted pets in the past, and my dog Ella is my best friend. My relationship with Israel is that it is the Jewish country and homeland. Israel is a place where Jews are not discriminated against. I hope to go to Israel with my family and with my school sometime in the future. In the process of getting ready for my bar mitzvah, many people have helped along the way. First, I would like to thank my tutor, Miss Joanne, Cantor Desnick, Rabbi Spike, Rabbi Max, and my teachers at the Davis Academy for teaching me Jewish values and for guiding me in my Jewish studies. My aunts, uncles, and cousins for always cheering me on and being there for me. Next, I want to thank my grandparents, Nana and Papa. I would like to thank you for passing on to me your Jewish knowledge and traditions, or even making sure I stayed on track in my studying by quizzing me about my Torah portion, even though I probably know more than you about it. That one's for you, Papa. Bubby and Poppy, thank you for always taking us on trips into fun places, and especially out for ice cream. You always make sure to have fun and learn about new things with me. BG, thank you for rooting me on in everything I do and for always making me laugh. Zach, thank you for always playing games with me, even if we sometimes, most of the time, fight about it. Let's be honest here, I usually only win by around 5 runs. In the end, though, I love you so much. You're awesome, dude. How about a game of the show later? Dad, thank you for taking me to all my sports games and for all of your funny jokes. Why did the cookie go to the doctor? Because it felt crummy. You always laugh at that one. Mom, thank you so much for staying up late with me and always being there for me. You do so much for me every day. I love you both so much. Lastly, thank you to everybody who came today or is watching online. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And yes, clearly we have just heard from a young man and a leader. Andrew, stay right up there. Hannah, we're going to have you come back up. Whenever you're ready, Hannah, you come right back up. Friends, we're going to continue with our Haftarah. The second scriptural portion from the morning comes from the prophets. In times of persecution, when Jews were forbidden to read or teach Torah, the sages of the Talmud chose a correlated reading from a section of Hebrew scriptures that were not from the Torah. Today, you're going to be reading from Isaiah. Isaiah was preaching in a time when we were in exile. Isaiah talks about how things are bad. He doesn't say that they're not real, doesn't say that it doesn't count. They're real, the angst, the pain is real, but he gives us a nechemta, a hopeful hook, that with tshuva, with a repentance and a returning to our very best selves, having faith not only in the divine but in each other, that things will get better and we will return. You'll find the Isaiah reading on page 1614 and your plouch that's underneath your seats. Those are the blue books, and you can find the blessings for Haftorah on page 36 and 37.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar bimvim tovim v'ratzav v'divrechem chenei emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Chabecher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'imviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Kumi uri kiva orech uchvod Adonai aleich zara ki hinecha choshech yahatei eretz v'arafel le'imim ve'aleich yitzra Adonai uchvodo aleich yira'ah v'chalechu goyim le'orech u'melachim le'noga zarcheh ze'us aviv anaich orei kulam nichbetzu ba'olach banaich mirechoch yavo'o unochoti al zad te'amena az terei v'nachareti ufachad v'rachav levavech ki yachafech alaich hamon yam chel goyim yavo'o lach.
Lo yishamo od hamas be'artzeh shod v'ashever bigvulai yekara Yeshua homotai b'sha'arai tehila lo yehiyeh lach od hashemesh le'or yomam ulo nega hayareha lo ya'ir lach V'hayalach Adonai le'or olam ve'alohai le'tifartech Yehieh lach le'or olam v'shalmu yemei evlech ve'amech kulam sadekim le'olam yishu aretz netzer matai me'aseh yadai Lahit pa'er hakaton yehieh le'elef ve'hasayir lagoy asum ani Adonai ve'ita ahishana. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Sur kol ha'omim, sadiq beho hadarot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, hamdaber kayem, shekol davarav emet b'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im, v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha ve'limnuha, lehavod utifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umevarhim otah, iberashim habefiko ha, tamid leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Baruch Shemo. Mekadesh.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Beautiful. All right, folks, let's rise. Page 39. Eitz Chaim.
Eitz Chaim hi
Lemakazikim ba b'tocheha meushar v'racheha darchei Noah v'chol netivoteha shalom.
Hashivenu
Adonai
Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh
Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Please be seated. So Hannah and Andrew, Cantor and I have said this before, but it is really the MS, the real truth, that of all the things we get to do as clergy here at Emanu-El, including high holidays, Slichot is tonight, including raucous Friday night services and weddings, that our most favorite thing is what we've been doing with each of you for the past many months, which is getting to know you at a deep level. Deep. And studying Torah Lishma, study for the sake of higher thought, higher thinking. Hannah, your talk really hits to the essence of not just who you are, but I think the essence of Judaism. Here you have this idea that you put forward in your Devar Torah that we have the opportunity to be a blessing. We have the opportunity to live our life as a blessing, not just for ourselves, Dayenu, but for our family and our community and the people around us by the choices that we make. Now, some might think that that is the spice of life, but it's not. It's actually the essence of life. It is the meaning of life. To live a deeper, more meaningful life through your relationships, your choices, and your actions. The only reason you would take less of that would be to give the people in your family and your life more, maybe. You are a Yiddish neshama. You've got this Jewish soul that emits goodness. I don't know how many 13-year-olds would say, hey, I'm going to be nice to people regardless of how they react to me. I'm going to put out there in the world what I want to see in the world, regardless of what comes back. There's not just a sense of character in there and integrity, but a deep sense of faith. Faith not perhaps in the divine, but in yourself and in others. That is a tremendous thing to have. And my hope is that not only do we all learn from it, imagine if we all did this. Not only do we all learn from it, but you take this now to the nth degree. Keep on putting it out there. It can only do good. And in that way, you will lead not just the Jewish people, but the society around us. Cantor?
So, Hannah and Andrew, as we have been going through this service together, remember when we sat down over Zoom and we were getting you both started, and I was so hopeful that we were all going to be able to be together. And I remember the way we were hoping to plan your service was right here, right? And we weren't always sure that we were going to have this whole room filled with all of these people who love you. I want to talk about something that I noticed in our rehearsal this past Thursday, and that is when you both started chanting, you were instantly in sync with each other. It was really quite amazing. That's pretty difficult to do. And I think that's really a testament to each of you. Each of you spoke about today, about blessings, about both being a blessing in the world, about finding blessings, even when the world seems dark and there's so much going on, pulling out those special blessings. And so my charge for you is to continue doing that, each of you. Because what you did in that moment, even though it might have seemed so simple, being in sync with each other as we were chanting, is you really each gave each other a gift. You each gave each other the space to share your voice. And that is such an amazing blessing. So each of you continue to be the blessings that you are, to continue to give those around you that space, and continue to find those sparks of light and joy and blessing, even when you might be in the midst of the rocky things, because that's what will pull you out and bring you even more forward and help you to elevate even more. Mazel tov to each of you.
Andrew, the conversation we had maybe 3 weeks ago was one of the more impactful ones that I've had this year. And it directly related to not only what we were learning from your Torah portion, but what you were teaching me. This idea of monotheism, or ethical monotheism, as opposed to the idolatry which your Torah portion rails against. And you asked the right question. What's the big deal about idolatry? Right? What's the big deal about Baal and Ashtoreth and Moloch and these idols, these foreign gods which the Torah rails against? And we discovered together that these foreign gods, according to our texts, were permitting things that were absolutely abhorrent in the moral view that we have. So that you could get, if you had this plethora, you could get permission to do whatever you wanted to do. And you used the hyperbolic example of murder. Right? Why shouldn't I if this God says it's okay? And if that God says it's not okay, I'll just go to the next one and the next one and the next one. Relative morality. So what the ethical monotheism of Judaism brings, not just to us, but to the Western world, is this idea that there is such thing as right and wrong. Not everything is okay. There is such thing as right and wrong. And you brought it up. Who are the idols today? Right? We talked about it. Power, fame, money, and others. You could justify any immoral behavior against those absolutes if you chose to. But instead, we have a different system. Now, Andrew, it takes tremendous courage and strength, which you have, to first of all name it, to talk about it, and then, here's the ellipsis, to live it. In a vacuum, it's easy, but none of us live in a vacuum, right? We have our peer pressure of our friends, our community, society, media. So to be able to stand up and say that there is such thing as right and wrong, and this is right and this is wrong, and not everything goes, is a testament to you and to your parents and the young men that you're becoming. So Cantor and I would like to offer blessing to both of these outstanding young Jewish leaders, Andrew and Hannah. I'd ask everyone to rise, please. This is the priestly benediction. This is the blessing that we have been offering to our youth at liminal points in our history since time began as we know it.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
May God's face turn towards you and grant you the greatest gift of all, which you have right now. Your feet on the ground, surrounded by friends, family, community who love you, who support you, a rich 4,000-year-old tradition. All the opportunities and doors open to you for a life of goodness, a life of deed, and of blessing, a sense of wholeness, peace, and shalom. And we say,
Amen.
Okay, friends, we can be seated unless you are Hannah's parents or Andrew's parents. And then come on up. And Littman's, we're going to have you go first, okay?
So first, I'd like to wish a big mazel tov to Andrew and the Smolin family. You did great. It's been a challenge for sure, but we've made it through, and I'm not sure what I'll do without my weekly calls with you. All right, so Hannah, Mom and I are so proud of you. It's not easy to learn Torah during a pandemic as well as via Zoom. You worked so hard to get here today. Even through the difficult times, you hit it head on and came out like a champ. Today you are a Jewish woman and accept all the duties and responsibilities that come with that. We know that you will continue your Jewish education and become a full-fledged member of the congregation in the temple where Mom was a bat mitzvah.
Music has always played such a big part in our lives, and even though we don't share the same love of the same type of music, there's always been a constant in our household: 80s music. We bombard you in the car and in the house with these legendary tunes. I bet you did not know that you can learn a lot about life through 80s music. Let's go back in time.
My Prerogative by Bobby Brown. I don't need commission, make my own decisions, that's my prerogative. Hannah, you have always had a strong sense of yourself, never shying away from a conflict, always sticking up for yourself, being a leader, sometimes being stubborn to a T. Keep that spirit. Stick up for yourself and others, especially when you know something is wrong. Be a champion not only for yourself but others. However, can you give your mother a break every now and then?
Break My Stride by Matthew Wilder. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. I gotta keep on moving. Hannah, you go for it. Whether it's trying out for cheer or making straight A's in school or being picked for the yearbook, you continue to strive to be the very best you can. You don't let anything hold you back. Continue to reach for things that might be out of your reach. You never know what you can accomplish if you only try.
The Best of Times by Styx. Our memories of yesterday will last a lifetime. We'll take the best, forget the rest, and someday we'll find these are the best of times. Hannah, you are in the best of times of your life. New friends, old friends, school friends, camp friends. These are the times to cherish. Have fun, be silly, do a TikTok, post a Snapchat, laugh, live, and love.
Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. Hannah, when you were deciding on your bat mitzvah project, all you knew is that you wanted to help people in need. But due to COVID restrictions, you could not accomplish what you wanted. But through the donations you gathered, you were able to help numerous amounts of people. We know that your giving will not stop with this project, and you will continue to provide mitzvahs throughout your life.
Don't Stop Believing by Journey, one of our favorites. Don't stop believing, hold on to that feeling. Hannah, continue striving to be the best you can. Live your life to the fullest. Reach for the stars. If you don't succeed, try again. It is okay not to be perfect. You rock.
And lastly, Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds. Don't you forget about me as you walk on by, will you call my name? Hannah, Dad and I will always be here for you, even when you don't think you need us. We are your biggest fans, even when you call us dorks. Our favorite is when you call us your besties. So every once in a while, put down your phone and let's chat. We are so proud of you. We love you.
Beautiful. I feel like we should all start singing something. All right, Greg and Jenny, share some words about your son for us.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We have been threatening Andrew for months that we would embarrass him by rapping our speech.
Oh.
So without further ado.
Hit it, Greg. First and foremost, we want to thank Rabbi Spike, Rabbi Max Cantor-Desnick, and Miss Joanne for helping Andrew get to this moment today. We truly couldn't have done it without you. Second, mazel tov to Hannah, Leslie, and Adam on their amazing job today. Did a good job.
Andrew Dylan Smolin. How is this possible? Just yesterday, we were changing your diapers. It seems like last week we sent you off to kindergarten, one of the smallest kids, and now you're almost eye to eye with mommy. That was the fastest 13 years ever.
But today you officially become a man according to Jewish law, and we couldn't be more proud of you. Your Torah portion talks about God establishing the commandments, and if followed by the Jewish people, there were great rewards. Those who did not follow the commandments were met with curses. The premise is not so dissimilar from baseball, where there are a specific set of rules which help the game remain both fair for both sides. If allowed, it can mean victory for you and your team. Adult life can also be very similar, where following the right thing to do and the commandments established by God can only lead you to good things. However, not doing the right thing can lead to bad consequences, like curses, punishment, and even police involvement.
That reminds me of one time your mom and I were on spring break. Andrew, we have no doubt that you will always choose the right thing. You tackled this bar mitzvah the way you tackle everything. Mommy may say different, but I never once heard you complain about studying. You stood up, accepted the challenge, and put everything you had into getting it done. The great brave Hank Aaron once said, "In playing ball and in life, a person occasionally gets the opportunity to do something great. When that time comes, only two things matter: being prepared to seize the moment and having the courage to take your best swing." I'd say today you hit a home run.
Andrew, we are so proud of all the work you put in to stand here today, read from the Torah, and lead the service. But we are even more proud of the incredible young man you have become. When you were in 2nd and 3rd grade, you came home with some papers from your classmates that said what they admired about you. Some said you were smart, brave, and kind, but the overwhelming majority said you had the ability to make others laugh and feel good about themselves. You knew from a young age that by making others happy, in turn, made you happy, which is truly remarkable for an 8-year-old to understand. It is all of these characteristics that make you not only a great teammate on the baseball field, but an amazing human being. And it is why we have no doubt that you are going to rock this man thing for the next 100 years. We love you to the moon and back 1,000,000 times, and we are so lucky to be your parents.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so Zach, I'm going to ask you to stand up first, and you're going to make your way up to the ark. Everybody, we can rise for Elenu on page 40. Families, if you'll fall in behind Zach as we open up both sides of the ark. You may need a little help up there, Adam. Okay, there we go. There's one side. There's the other side. All the way. Beautifully done.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atid gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam,
V'anachnu korim, u'vishtachavim u'modim, Rifnei melech, Malchei HaMalchim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bayom hahu, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad. Okay, Zach, you're going to close both sides of the ark. Very well done. Friends, please be seated. Families, stay up on the bima. We're in the final lap of our service and getting ready for Mourner's Kaddish. Cantor talked about how your families, both the ones that are present and those members who are not present, that we believe that they are all very much here today and smiling because of what the two of you are doing, what you're doing for our people and for the legacy that you have been given. We particularly remember at this time of joy, this time of happiness, Harold Lippman, Sharon Fagan, Diane and Harvey Schulman, Alvin and Margie Greenberg, Benjamin and Dorothy Taubin, Jack and Rose Bennock, Claire and Perry Smolin, Ann Moore and Rose Silverman. If you are in the Shloshim period of mourning, the first 30 days after a loved one's passing, I would ask you to rise now to be recognized, either here in the sanctuary or at home. If you're in the first year of mourning a loved one's passing, within the first year of mourning, please rise now so we can recognize you. Remain standing. If you are commemorating the yard site, the death anniversary of a loved one's passing this Shabbat, we ask you to rise now and be recognized. And if it is your custom to rise in solidarity, or for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we ask you to do so now. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 41. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shmei rabbah, ve'omad divrach hirotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon of yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'galav v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit truman v'yit naseh. Vita dar, vita le, vita lo, shmei de kudsha, b'richu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'charta v'nechamata, damiram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'imru mav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Sivan tov u'mazel tov, u'mazel tov, sivan tov, sivan tov, u'mazel tov, u'mazel tov, sivan tov, sivan tov, u'mazel tov, u'mazel tov, sivan tov. Hey,
Yisrael. Yehi lanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehi lanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehi lanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Okay, bar and bat mitzvah, Andrew and Hannah, if you will pick up the Kiddush cup right next to you. We're going to say Kiddush on page 42.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim, take a sip. And as we get ready to go to your celebration in our social hall and outside on the Schiffer Family Terrace, we are going to say Hamotzi. So if you will uncover the challah. All right, and each family, if you will pick up the tray of challah. Okay, friends, here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Mazel tov.